that feeling when you ask a question and you just get a weird look? Like maybe you came off a little too strong? Well, there's this simple grammar tweak that can be a total secret weapon for smoother conversations. So today, we're going to unlock the power of indirect questions. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off by seeing why asking the right way even matters. Then we'll get into what indirect questions actually are and get hands-on with building both the WH and the yes or no types. We'll even tackle a tricky little exception before you get to test out your new skills. Okay, so let's dive right in. It's not just what you ask, it's how you ask it, and the difference can be huge. Seriously, just listen to this. Okay, so on one side you've got, what do people usually buy here? It's direct, sure, but it feels a bit, abrupt, almost demanding, right? Now let's compare that to, could you tell me what people usually buy here? See what I mean? It's just softer, more respectful. It's like you're starting a conversation, not just demanding information. So what is this magic trick we're doing with our grammar to sound more considerate? Let's get a really clear definition. Basically, indirect questions are just, a more formal and polite way to ask something. They add this really crucial layer of respect and consideration to how you speak. So when should you use them? Where do they really shine? Well, they're perfect when you're speaking to someone for the first time, to help build a good vibe. They are absolutely essential for sensitive topics where you want to be extra careful. And they're fantastic for asking for opinions because it really shows you value what the other person has to say. All right, so how do we actually do this? How do we build these things? Let's start with the most common type out there, the WH questions. Your whats, wheres, whys, and hows. And here it is. This is the key. It all comes down to one single golden rule. If you get this, you are 90% of the way there. Ready? In an indirect question, the verb always follows the subject. Now think about that. It's the total opposite of a normal question where we flip them around. Let's just break down the formula so you can see it. You start with a polite opener, something like, could you tell me? Then you add your why word, and here's that golden rule in action. You use a normal sentence structure, subject, then the verb. So it's he has been reading, not has he been reading, like you'd usually ask. And here's how that first one looks as a full sentence. Could you tell me what he has been reading? See? It just flows so nicely, and it follows that golden rule perfectly. Okay, so that covers your what questions. But what about the questions that have a super simple yes or no answer? Well, the great news is that golden rule we just learned, it still applies. There's just one tiny little addition. For these types of questions, all you have to do is slot the word if right after your polite opener. But look, the golden rule holds strong. The verb still comes after the subject. No changes there. You can see the formula right here. We've got our stem, can you tell me? Then we pop in oof, then the subject, she, and finally the verb has been sleeping. It's a really simple, super consistent pattern once you see it. Let's look at another one all put together. Do you know if he speaks German? Now, notice how the subject he comes before the verb speaks. You're not asking, does he speak? What you're really asking is if the statement he speaks German is true. It's a small change in grammar, but it makes a huge difference in tone. Okay, you've totally mastered the golden rule. You're feeling good. You're feeling confident. So of course, now it's time to introduce the one main exception. But hey, don't worry. It's a very specific one, so it's actually pretty easy to remember. This little twist happens specifically with the phrase, do you think? When you use that phrase, the question word, your why, what, or how, it jumps all the way to the very front of the sentence. So you would never say, do you think why she wins so often? No, that just sounds weird, right? Instead, that why moves to the front. Why do you think she wins so often? It's a unique structure for sure, but it kind of makes sense when you think about it. You're asking for the reason behind their opinion. All right, we've covered the rules, we've covered the one big exception. So now it's your turn. Let's do a quick check to see if you've got this down. Okay, first one up. The direct question is, does he work with Carlos? So how would you make that indirect using the phrase, do you know? I'll give you a second. Think about it. Is this a WH question or is it a yes-no question? And the answer is, do you know if he works with Carlos? Perfect. It's a yes-no question, so we add if, and then we follow our golden rule. The subject, he, comes right before the verb works. Awesome. Okay, let's try another one. How about this? The direct question, how long has he had this phone? And your starting phrase is, could you tell me? Go ahead. Try to form that indirect question. And the answer is, could you tell me how long he has had this phone? The key part, the crucial part, is that the verb has follows the subject he. We don't say how long has he, we say how long he has. That is the golden rule working its magic right there. And just like that, you've got the tools to make your questions way more effective and, just nicer. So I have one final question for you. And hey, notice the grammar here. Do you know what you'll watch next? Thanks so much for hanging out and learning with us today.